Hello and welcome to another episode of the Alternative Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Fleury. I'm joined by my main man, my partner in crime, Andre Dixon. We're also joined by a special guest, a little NBA special, Nayo Campbell. She reports for the Utah Jazz, so let's get into it.
Thank you guys so much. I'm excited to be able to chat with you guys, coming live from Salt Lake City.
So obviously, look, I'm excited because obviously the NBA season's been going on right now. We've sort of hit the midway point. Now, basketball isn't as popular in the UK, obviously, as the US or other parts of the world, but it is a growing sport. So I did want to sort of ask you, give us your thoughts on so far, like the current NBA season, because it's not the same as it has been before with no fans, COVID, the whole situation, the shortened season. What's your overall thoughts on the current NBA season?
I mean, well, first and number one.
Okay.
I work for the number one team and the entire league with the best record, called the Utah Jazz. So the NBA season has been great. No, it's different for sure. This is actually my first season with the Jazz, but it's been such an amazing experience. And working for them has been nothing short of amazing. Seeing the dynamic of the team has been wonderful. It is a little bit different. I worked with the Wizards prior, and I actually worked strictly with fans. So I knew what it was like to interact with fans, to really kind of just be around them. So it's definitely a different kind of feel. Utah is really lucky enough to actually have fans in the arena. Mm-hmm. We do have fans in the arena. We've had fans since the beginning of the season. I believe it started with, I thought it was 1,500, but I think I might have been close to a little bit more than that. But now we have about 3,000 something fans in the arena. Socially distanced, of course. Masks are required. But yeah, so it's been pretty great. I've still been able to kind of interact and mingle and meet fans in different ways. And of course, like I said, we have such an amazing team. We have 3 all-stars, including our coach, Coach Quinn Snyder, Mike Conley, who rightfully deserved it after being in the league for so long, as well as Donovan and Rudy Gobert. So it's just been amazing. Like, I've really enjoyed this season. I think it's definitely different. You're seeing, you hate the COVID precautions because it does limit you in many ways. Mm-hmm. But super proud of these guys for continuing to go out there to, do what they love, to put on a sport that people enjoy watching. And yeah, so it's definitely been interesting.
So I'm obviously we're before we go into your career, which I'm really excited to learn about. I just wanted to touch on something that's obviously just recently happened. Is very difficult for us to ignore. With Myers Leonard, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it correctly. Obviously made some anti-Semitic, / racist comments when he was playing Call of Duty on Twitch. With these types of things that happen, I think obviously NBA is quite, very quick at dealing with things. But what do you feel that the punishment should be? What's a deterrent? How can they solve some of these problems in the world of basketball?
Yeah, I can't necessarily say like what I think the punishment should be, but mm-hmm. in terms of like how the NBA, I really respect this league, and I'm so happy that I work for this league, because immediately when something is racist or somebody says a comment, they immediately act on it, right? With the proper research that should be taken. They go and they look into it and they see what happens, and they evaluate the situation immediately, and action is taken. And so if we saw that Miami Heat released a statement that he has been suspended indefinitely, and so that's our decision there. I believe that no, I do not condone any racist comments. I do not condone any type of behavior. I believe if you say certain things that are in your vocabulary, then that does make up who you are, and you should take that time to learn from it. Take that time to why is that in your vocabulary? Evaluate who you are and why you're able to say that, and why that's able to flow off your tongue so easily. And so I respect Miami Heat for what they did, suspending him indefinitely, because you do not want that on your team. You do not want other players to feel uncomfortable. You do not want the fans that support to feel uncomfortable. You do not want them to feel like they can't trust you, to feel like, you have hate in how you carry yourself. So the NBA does not applaud any type of hate speech or behavior at all. And so I don't agree with that. I don't agree with any hate coming out of somebody's tone. It's coming out of somebody's mouth. My apologies. So yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts there. It was disappointing to hear, and I hope that he gets the help that to make the change that he needs to make.
Well, let's get on to other matters which I'm really excited to learn about. So your career. So I wonder if I understand your journey to effectively coming out of college to how you got to where you are now. So tell us your journey, how you got to wear that amazing apparel that you're seeing. I'm getting jealous with the apparel. I rock all the teams. I'm gonna be getting that. That's for sure. So yeah, tell us about the journey.
Jazz Team Store. Go to jazzteamstore.com. You can actually purchase it and it will ship to you. So yeah. How did I get into where I am today? So I went to college. I graduated from Howard University in Washington, D.C., which is a historically Black college and university. If you all watched the All-Star Weekend this past weekend, well, All-Star Day this past weekend, they were celebrating HBCUs and celebrating the history behind them. And so I went to Howard University, which is located in DC, majored in broadcast journalism. My specialty was specifically broadcast journalism, but I studied all types. I interned in a lot of different fields of media, from radio, television, digital, as well as live entertainment, which is what I did with the Wizards from my senior year. And so I did that all my 4 years while doing a host of other things, a part of a whole bunch of different clubs, minored in African American studies and English. And then when I graduated, I would say entertainment and sports were kind of my entertainment and basketball. So I won't say that I don't claim, the whole sports reporter title, because I have to give that to everyone else that has taken years of studying that. For me, basketball was something that I was super passionate about, but I kind of kept it on the low in many ways. And so loved the NBA, grew up watching the NBA, really appreciating the NBA. And entertainment was something else that I was super passionate about. So after I graduated, didn't really have a job. And so I was freelancing and also part-time with the Wizards as a floor director in game and entertainment. And so I was one running around kind of directing the show of what you see when you're at a live game. So when you have an arena host, before throwing the t-shirts out, like kind of directing all of that. So I was doing that for 3 seasons with the Wizards. And then I was a journalist on the side, freelance journalist, going to red carpets, going to different events around the DMV, as well as across the country, across the US. And so, I traveled to All-Star, did some stuff there, worked for thegrio.com, which is an African-American news-based outlet, worked for Howard's television station upon graduation. And yeah, but I had a love for basketball, and I realized that there was a space for digital reporters and for people to work specifically for a team to tell stories. I realized, like, more often than not that a lot of, NBA teams, a lot of players, they want to go into media and they want to do that. But me being, a journalist, they need someone to be able to tell their voice, to share their voice, and actually have studied it, been able to accurately kind of be able to tell those stories. And so it was after watching like Dwayne Wade's One Last Dance and watching kind of what he was doing. And I was like, wow, like there's really a space here, and I want to be able to do that. I want to be a part of a team so that I can really build these real relationships, kind of grow with these guys, see their stories, see what they go through on the regular day and day, and tell their stories and create content, not just about the team, but also the city. What makes a city unique, what makes a city special. So I do that. I now have my role with the Utah Jazz, which is exactly what I do. I talk to the players daily, and I also get to go around Salt Lake City, Utah, which is a place that I've never been to before moving out here. So being able to share those stories and create stories around that. So yeah.
I'm gonna ask you this, because actually just before you said that, we're almost family now, because I had like 4 or 5 cousins who went to Howard University, and really? Campbell went there as well. So you're in a prestigious arena there, I'll tell you.
Mate, all I can say, I went to school in Purdue, so I didn't really have a choice. Howard wasn't, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but I didn't have a choice.
So have you always been a Utah Jazz fan?
No, I won't lie to you on that. No. No, I wasn't a Utah Jazz fan. I had, I just—
You don't have to say which team.
I can't say what team. It's fine. They know. I grew up a Celtics fan, which is kind of crazy.
Okay.
I would, Wizards, I like, you always had love for the home team because that's where you're from. That's where I'm from, DC, Maryland. But I grew up a Celtics fan, and I tell this story all the time. My brother was a huge Kobe fan. And my brother and I, in order to keep the rivalry in our house going on, you got to like the opposing team.
Yeah. Automatically.
Do. It was like, he's a huge Kobe Laker fan. So I was like, Celtics, let's go. Like, I was always cheering on the Celtics. So I remember I like asked my brothers to get me a hoodie one year for my birthday. It was just insane, but it was to keep the rivalry alive. So no, I wasn't a big Utah Jazz fan, but I've grown to really love the organization. I did start I think within the last, once I started working for an NBA team, you become a fan of the team. You of course become a fan of the team that pays you. And then two, I start to become a fan of players. And so that's kind of just after, for the past few years, I really started becoming fans of players. And so I started to really like and love Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Those became some of my favorite players in the league. I think Rudy Gobert is an amazing center. I mean, he's Defensive Player of the Year twice for a reason, and he's probably gonna get it this year too. He's learning. And Donovan, I just, I love the underdog, right? He's coming in 13th pick, not knowing what to expect. The year after Gordon Hayward has left, you didn't know what this organization was going to look like, and he came in and kind of just took it and fell in love with the organization itself, and has really become a huge, in my opinion, one of the next big stars in the league.
Yeah, that is true.
So now, and after working for this team, there's such great people on the court, but there's such amazing people off the court, and they have such a true dynamic that it's hard not to be a fan.
Yeah, because we see they sit at the top of the West right now. I'm surprised by that, and obviously I know you work for the team, but give us an unbiased. Did you expect them to do this well into this? It's obviously midway into the season, because I think for me, with the West and AD out for the Lakers, and LeBron looking a little bit tired, I think Utah the team to beat in the West. Did you expect them to do so well, especially in your first season covering them?
I think when it came to the Jazz, I didn't know what to expect. I knew they were going to be great. I knew we were a playoff team. I knew we were going to be great. I figured we were probably going to be in the top 5. Number one for this long, and to have a record this long, 27-9. I didn't expect those numbers. But at the beginning of the season, preseason, that brotherhood dynamic was there. And you could just see that they had so much respect for each other that I was like, this is going to be a good team.
Okay.
Now, for them to have this number one, now they haven't been number one. And I was looking at this the other day. They haven't been number one since I was 1. So, meaning they haven't been number one going into the playoffs. Yes. So going into the playoffs. Now, granted, we still have half a season to go, so we don't know what's going to happen. But they haven't been the number 1 seed since I was 1. So that would be insane to see. So, yeah.
So which team do you think could really cause Utah problems going into the playoffs?
I mean, we already have an ongoing, not ongoing, but going into it, Denver Nuggets. We played them last year. That's the team that's really kind of that's lit the fuel for them after losing being up 3-1 in the bubble, and now coming back and seeing where they messed up. That team lit that fuel. So that experience versus the Denver Nuggets last season was huge. But Denver Nuggets are going to be tricky, and with the fully healthy Lakers, they're going to be tricky as well. There's nothing like a LeBron in the playoffs.
And then obviously, because we look, Utah's notoriously a small market. We're seeing Denver as a small market. Phoenix Suns a second as we speak. We're starting to see the rise of the small market teams. Why do you think that is? Even Portland, sort of in and around sort of the playoff contention.
I think when it comes to small market teams, it's our time to shine, right? It's our time to kind of beat the hypocrisy or the lack of respect that small market teams are given. And so I think we're just seeing that. We're seeing that players are sticking to loyal versus having, we're seeing some players that, you see Damian Lillard, who has stayed with the Trailblazers for, I think he's one of the longest players to have stayed with a team. So, or longest tenured teams right now in the league. And so we're seeing that. We're seeing that, you know, small markets need to get their shine, and we're seeing that these players really love where they are, and they want to be able to be that one that's like, hey, I'm going to bring back a championship. You can think about like when it came to like the Toronto Raptors. Sorry about this. You can think about when it came back to the Toronto Raptors and then winning a championship. That wasn't, you know, like they're not considered like the biggest team in the league, but they were able to, you know, that was something special to be able to bring that home. You saw that with Kyle Lowry. You saw that with that team. So I think that's the case.
So
right.
at the moment, sorry, no, go on. No, we've got a delay. You know how it is now. We've got to adapt to this new Zoom world. But go for it, Dan.
No, I was just going to say, obviously, so we've seen that. Obviously, you've got Utah now. Just picking on that sort of small market thing. Which team or which small market do you think is going to be the next big team?
Outside of Utah?
Yeah, outside of Utah, of course. Of course.
Chris Paul is doing some amazing things, right? You saw what he was able to do with OKC. People didn't expect OKC to even like make the playoffs last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't expect that. And you see now what's going on with FENIXX. You see with Devin Booker, you see with DeAndre Ayton, you see that and then you have Chris Paul. He's an amazing leader. He's actually one of Donovan's mentors. And so you see that. So I would give it to FENIXX as one of the next big teams.
So I mean, you guys are having a obviously amazing season at the moment. So what would you say is your favorite moment at the moment, you know, so far of the season?
There's been so many.
I'm glad we got you here. I'm glad this proves that we're worthy of asking you questions to get you stuck, which is great. You know,
yeah.
we this is
There's been so many. You know, what was a moment for me that I really appreciate was, or I hated at the moment, but it was the whole situation where Shaq called out Donovan, and he famously said, right? It was after a huge game. I'm trying to figure out what team we played.
Yeah.
But it was that moment, and Shaq was like, I'm a huge fan of what you're doing, but I don't think you're going to be a star, or blah, blah, blah. And it was, it was just stupid. But and Donovan responded, and to kind of see the support from the community, to see the support of Salt Lake City, to see the support of the NBA world, to see how great Donovan is, and then even the continued support of the teammates, I think that's been great. So that's been that was one of the moments where I'm just like, I don't want to call that a favorite moment because I was actually very upset, but that moment right there was, I think, you know, you just see how I love seeing the support of people. But one thing that has been great for me, I will say, is our sixth man of the year, and I'm already putting it out there, Jordan Clarkson.
Okay.
Jordan Clarkson.
That is true.
Whenever he comes off the bench, it's just insane. It's like he's a walking bucket, right? And it's so cool to see him. And I just give it to our bench. Like, our bench has so many, like, they come off and it's like, you think you're getting a break, but you're not. Like, you don't know what to expect. George had, I think it was 7 threes. George Niang had 7 threes against the Charlotte Hornets. And, you know, you see stuff like that. And so the electrifyingness of the bench, I think, is probably one of my favorite moments.
Two things that just pop into my mind is, well, one, obviously you mentioned about with the Shaq comment, because it was like cringe city for me watching that, because it just came out of nowhere. And obviously Shaq's a Hall of Fame player, amazing athlete, you know, one of the greatest of all time. But I it just didn't sit well for me that you're just like, you know, ragging effectively on someone who's just trying to make it and trying to get somewhat near you where you are. You know, what was your take on that?
That's what made me mad. It was the fact that, like, Donovan, like, we grew up watching Shaq, right? We grew up watching him. And so for you to, you know, be in the league and, you know, there's going to be backlash. There's going to be people that are going to constantly talk about your game. But to have such a great game that one night, and then you kind of come back and you're like, but I still don't think you're a star. And I just kind of want to feel, just a little, it's just like, why? Like, why say that? Why tear him down?
What's he supposed to say to that?
Yeah, what do you want me to say? Like, get mad at you and yell at you and say, you know what, blah, blah, like, no. Donovan says it all the time. Like, he's been considered underrated his entire life. And so, he's always had to fight for where he had to be. And we constantly have to do that. And so that kind of just like made me upset. And then for it to be on national television, it's like, you don't get that many national television games. And so you're going to say that after people, I had people reaching out to me, family members reaching out to me, like, this is one of my first times watching the Utah Jazz play. You would have thought they lost the game the way that he, came and said that to him. And I'm like, no, they actually won. And Donovan had a great game, but that's what he said. So it's like little things like that. It's like, why? Why did you say that? Why did you say this on? You could have sent him a text. Like, if you want to say that, if you want to have a conversation with him, you can have that one-on-one. But to do that on national television when you're a small market team who's trying to also get more games on TV, I just didn't like it. I just thought that was uncalled for.
Obviously, we're going to pick up on that sort of the disrespect, because obviously we talk about the All-Star, we talk about LeBron and KD picking their teams. And for me, I thought the biggest disrespect was when LeBron said, I need to go for size, and then you pick Sabonis and not Rudy Gobert. I was like, what's going on? So, like, from your point of view, did you think they were disrespected, in terms of their pick? Because it was the last two picks, and they were sitting number one in the West. We don't usually see that.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I'm not trying to cause any issues with LeBron. I hope that Shaq doesn't come for me either from this. But we're the number one team in the West. Donovan and Rudy Gobert. Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Donovan, who I think should be in conversation. There should be a conversation about, if you want to say, now granted, like, I have talked to people, some people like have brought up, the whole MVP thing. I'm like, okay, like, it's a team situation. But at the end of the day, if they end up being number one, there should be a conversation on, someone's the number one seed, there should be conversations about MVP, right? So I'm gonna just leave that there. The comment. I didn't think it was necessary.
We're trying to set traps to get you you ain't falling for none of our tricks at all. We still got a long way to learn on this. One thing I want to ask you, because obviously you are, whether you like it or not, you're a trailblazer, and there's a lot of people, especially young women who are looking to get into the field of work that you're in. Covering teams and just being a sports journalist, or you're being a sports analyst, or however, but just to be in the game. So what would you say is the tips, like, that you've, what like difficulties have you found, and what is your tips that you would give to people following in your path?
As a woman, and especially as a Black woman, there's always going to be barriers, right? There's always going to be, I'm always going to have to fight for my voice to be in a lot of different rooms. And a lot of different rooms, people may not look like me. I think I credit my experience being at Howard University to build the confidence that I have in myself when I enter those rooms, to know that I deserve to be there, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of my biggest tip, is to know that you deserve to be there. If this is something that you're passionate about, if you've prayed about this, I'm a very faith-based person, spiritual person, Christian. I've prayed about this. I prayed about this journey, and I put in the work to be here, right? And so I'm not going to let anyone say anything, because there's going to be people that are going to say, oh, why are you there? Like, why'd they choose you? Blah, 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 blah. There's going to be people out there that's going to say stuff, and you can't let that deter you from your journey and what you're supposed to do. And so that's kind of just one of my biggest things, is just making sure that people understand, like, I'm here for a reason. Make sure that, just because you are there, make sure that you're always keeping up on your research. What you're talking about. If you don't know what to say, don't say anything. But always have a question prepared. That's another big thing, is to always have a question prepared. You never know what conversation will happen, who you might meet. Always have your pitch ready. Practice equals preparation. Practice being prepared is so important. You need to prepare for that big moment, because you never know when it's going to come. I've had so many ups and downs, so many rejection letters, so many people telling me, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I persevered. And that's kind of my biggest thing, is to continue to persevere. Know that you're supposed to be there, and don't let anyone stop you.
Yeah, we're asking for us. Like, we're disguising it so for other people. This is just us getting some inside information here.
What you're doing.
We're trying.
People. I think that's the only way. And at the end of the day, it's like, another big thing is to not be focused on the views, not be focused on, it's all about the content. You never know who's going to watch it, who's going to pick up, you know. Ask the questions that need to be asked. Make sure that you're having real conversations. Don't try to get the little, you know, clickbait. That's another thing. I'm different than a lot of people. I'm not a real big clickbait person. I'm like, I'm gonna give you the part that I think that you should know. And I think that it was valuable. So that's kind of just how I try to keep true to my journalism and what I do.
Yeah, and you mentioned one thing in terms of perseverance, and I think that's something that's really, I guess, really key for, you know, Black people, not just in the US, but I think across the world, is that we've had to, you know, endure, we've had to push forward, so I think it's something that's a trait that's really innate in Black people, and I think that's something that sets us apart because we know how to fight for what we need to go for. So it's impressive that you said that, and it's impressive what your career so far, and I know that there's sort of good things ahead of you as well, or great things ahead of you as well. But I am going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you forget the current players right now, because I don't want to get you into hot water or anything like that, but rank your top 5 NBA players of all time, present players excluded.
Present players are excluded.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble. You can put present players if you want to, but if you feel like you want to, you know, yeah. So I'm trying to help you out.
I'm going the past.
Yeah.
You know, I start my top five very differently than most.
Okay.
I'm going to give my number 1 player. Number 1. Because I feel like when you look at the record, you look at who has the most wins, most championships, you got to give it to this person. Now, it was way before my time, but having done research, I give my number 1 to Bill Russell.
Okay.
No one like Bill Russell. The Coach Quinn has said that he has told Rudy Gobert to look at Bill Russell's game, to be able to be a player and a coach, to be able to do that. His legacy is truly unique, and to see what he was able to do off the court. So I give it to Bill Russell. There's no one else that can sit like Bill, okay? So you got to give it to him.
Okay.
And then number 2, got to go Michael Jordan. There's no question about that. Michael Jordan, to be able to, the mentality of Michael Jordan, there's no one like him. And everyone, they modeled the game after him. So you give it to Mike. People want to be like Mike. And then number 3, I had to give it to Kobe Bryant. So I put him high up there. It's hard because it's like, I feel like I just have to put Kobe and Mike together, just because Kobe really, you know, emulated Mike's game, really loved Mike. So I have to put that up there. I think I'm gonna put Magic at number 4.
Okay.
No point guard like Magic. And then I'm gonna be loyal. And one of the best in the game for assists, gotta give it to John Stockton.
Yeah, I was thinking you're gonna go there. That's for sure. I'm thinking you.
Wait. No Kareem. What?
She's gonna go to the stadium every day. Come on.
My issue was, I was thinking about Kareem, and Kareem was gonna be there, but I was like, I don't want to make it all Lakers. So I was like, I can't do 2 Lakers. I can't do 3 Lakers. That would have been a lie. I couldn't do that.
But
I know Larry Bird, that would have been 2 Celtics. So I had to give it to the Jazz.
You're a Celtic, you're homo.
I know. And that's why Bill Russell, what is he? He's number 1.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Right? He's the one that brought the championships to who the Celtics are, the legacy that the Celtics have. So you got to give it to him. I try to keep it a little diverse, but I gave it to 2 Lakers. I had to give it to my team. John Stockton. But I've actually been able to do more research on who John Stockton is, like being out here and seeing how great he is, and seeing the fact that he doesn't look like your typical basketball player, right? And seeing that major shot that he had to send them to the finals, you know what I mean? So it's great to be able to see that, and to kind of look at that legacy, and to see how hard it is to be as great as John Stockton. So
So I'm gonna put you on the spot, but I know that there's gonna be someone called the mailman, Carl Malone, who's gonna be tapping you on the shoulder, be like, where was I in your top 5?
I know, right? You're gonna do that. I know, it's hard.
Because those two, Stockton and Malone, when I was growing up, that was Malone, like,
there's no one like it. I just wanted to stay within the rules, because I could have done Stockton Malone, because technically they're a package deal. But then
Yeah.
No, you can't say Stockton without Malone. There's a street out here, and it's literally an intersection. Stockton and Malone. Outside, it's Stockton and Malone. Out there is outside the arena. So it's like literally that's who they are. So in my head, 5 would have been Stockton and Malone, but I was trying to,
All right.
Just one thing I'm going to ask you just before we wrap. Everyone's obviously like kind of pushing now for the logo, the NBA logo, to be changed. I just thought this on the spot because I'm taking your advice. I have another question ready to go. So I'm going to ask you: do you feel that the logo should be changed to Kobe?
For sure. Jerry West has said that Kobe could be the logo. I believe he gave him, if I'm not mistaken, I believe shortly after Kobe passed that it should, he was like, yeah, no, I think he's like, I've been the logo and like whatever, even though they've never said quote unquote that it is him, but for sure.
But don't you think that opens up a can of worms, because then it's like the royalties to Kobe and then it becomes the Kobe logo and not the NBA logo. So there's a risk for that. Yeah,
I mean, there's a risk. There's gonna be risks regardless, right? So I mean, yeah, because like with Jerry West, technically it's like they don't say that it's him, but it is. But like with Kobe, you would know it's Kobe. I mean, I can't speak from that standpoint, but as a fan of Kobe, I'm all for it.
They could do a day or something, or a special edition.
I don't know. I mean, like there has to be something that's forever embedded for Kobe. That his passing is still something that I can't even, fathom and put into words. So I think for him, like his impact on the game is just, it's insane. His impact on the world was just insane. So, I mean, he has a trophy at All-Star, which is cool, but there needs to be something, which is great. And I'm happy that they did that, but there needs to be something else that's more, like we grew up saying Kobe, you know what I mean? It was Kobe, Kobe, Kobe. I grew up Kobe, right? So despite, always trying to beef with my brother on Kobe, there's nothing like that mentality of who Kobe was. And I attribute much of my success in this past year to him, to know that like he was able to do so much. And at the end of the day, it's like, when I get tired, when I don't want to do when I didn't want to do interviews, when I didn't want to give a call or check in or whatever, when I thought that the NBA was shut down, and I wouldn't be able to get my full-time job or my dream job in the NBA, I kept thinking like, what would Kobe do? Right? At the end of the day, it's like he goes out and he's like, are you tired? Is this what you really want? If this is what you want, then you're gonna go hard for it. And anytime that I got tired or felt like I needed to give up, I just thought about those times where the fact that he was in the gym, he could have a great game and then he's out practicing that night. And he gave up so much to have so much success and to be able to change the game and to be able to pave the way. And then for his life to be cut short, but to still have so much legacy, for such a short life, you just grow nothing but appreciation for that. So at the end of the day, for me, it's like, yeah, for sure. If there's anything that the NBA can do is to continue to honor that legacy.
No, I agree. I was thinking that they might do something in and around maybe the Jackie Robinson tribute and maybe, retire his numbers completely from the league. I was thinking that might be a solution as well. And that way, sort of avoid the problematic thing with sort of royalties from that point of view from the NBA. But yeah, I mean, look, Kobe's impact is heartfelt across the globe, not just in the US, even in the UK as well. When the news happened, I know, me and Dre spoke about it. It was sort of it was a heart-pressed moment for a lot of people in the UK as well. So, there is something that needs to be done for his legacy, and hopefully that will be done as well. So we'll see what happens from there. But now it's been great having you on the show. It's been great talking about NBA with you and putting you on the spot about your top 5. I think it's still debatable on the top 5, personally, to me.
It's okay. We can always debate on it.
We'll go.
I have a totally different top 5 now, 5 minutes later. So
we'll talk about Murray off screen. We'll talk about him off the screen.
Bill Russell's always number 1. But
okay. We'll talk about. But look, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure having you on. If you could just tell the audience sort of where they can find you and sort of keep up to date with sort of your track and your career.
Yeah, you guys can just follow me on social media. It's all my name, Nayo, Nayo _Campbell on Instagram, Nayo Campbell on Twitter. That's kind of just where you guys can find me, follow me at. I'm posting stuff. I'm the digital reporter for the Jazz, so on the Jazz's page, constant coming out with stories, interviews, all that. Make sure you follow, support, love the Jazz. The Jazz are a great team, great dynamic, great brotherhood. Make sure you go and support them. Thank you.
listen to Nayo. All right.
Okay, I'm definitely getting that top. That's for sure. I definitely will be getting that. I'm gonna tag you in it when we're all rocking this.
But yeah, no, thanks very much for joining us on the show. We love having you. Hopefully, you love being on it as well. And guys, remember to check out Nayo's page. Check out she does great work for the Jazz. And obviously, like she said, the Jazz are #1 in the West. So you'd be a fool not to love them and root for them this season. So yeah, on that note, guys, we out.